Hi, so my name's Julie Marsh and I'm a specialist medical negligence solicitor with Boys Turner. I regularly act for people who've been affected by meningitis and know how devastating this disease can be, both for those directly affected with a physical injury and for those who care and support the injured person. I recently concluded a case for a young man who was 8 months old when he experienced a delay in diagnosis of meningitis and as a result suffered a mild brain injury, had learning difficulties and bilateral deafness. Despite all of the challenges he faced, he was able to attend a special school for the deaf and able to complete his education. I currently act for a young lady who has had bilateral midfoot amputations as a result of the septic complications of meningitis, where paramedics sadly fails to recognise the symptoms of meningitis and transport her to hospital. Through my work with clients like these, I've become closely involved with the charity Meningitis Now, first as a business mentor and now as a trustee. Today, I'm talking to Tom Nutt, CEO of the charity. This charity offers support to those affected by this terrible disease, their family and friends, and where possible to help people rebuild their lives. Hi, Tom. Thanks for joining me today.
Good morning. It's a pleasure.
Good morning. So, can you please give us a bit of a brief intro about your role with the charity and the charity itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, Julie, I'm Chief Executive of Meningitis Now, which is a charity that exists to save lives and rebuild futures. As your short introduction indicated, meningitis is a terrible disease. It's a relatively rare disease here in the UK, but when it strikes, it can kill within 24 hours, and very often it leaves those people who survive with really quite difficult and often life-changing after effects. So we're here as a charity to support all those people affected by meningitis. We fund scientific and medical research. We raise awareness of the disease, of the signs and symptoms, and what people need to do if they think it might strike. And as we've already said, we support those people whose lives have been affected.
And we're living through completely unprecedented times as a result of this global pandemic. We know there are still cases of meningitis happening despite and alongside COVID-19. What issues are you aware of at the moment from those who are seeking support from the charity?
Well, what we're seeing is amongst the sort of community of people we support is really sort of heightened levels of anxiety and concern for people's mental and physical well-being. In many ways, what you might say, and we've picked this up through a survey we've run over the last couple of months with the people we support, what we're seeing is that the problems they had and the difficulties and challenges that they had in their lives before coronavirus have really just been accentuated or exacerbated, if you like, as a result of the pandemic. So people are experiencing difficulties with education and employment, accessing services, whether that's NHS or social care services, as well as just having the natural worries of worrying about themselves and their loved ones in relation to coronavirus. So I think the community of people affected by meningitis, it's a sort of accentuated effect of what was going on in their lives beforehand. It's not all bad. The survey, had some real positivity coming out of it. People who we support and who support us have found that there have been positives coming out of lockdown. Whether it's being able to spend more time with family, some relief on job pressures brought about by not having to commute and things like that. But inevitably, for many people, life has become that little bit harder as a result of coronavirus and the challenges they're already facing with meningitis.
And the charity itself is facing its own challenges, but how are you maintaining your support of people affected by meningitis at the moment?
So, as you say, Julie, Meningitis Now is very much like many other charities. We've seen a significant disruption to our income this year. We're forecasting that our income may be 50% or more lower than where we thought it would be this financial year. And that really is quite difficult for us and for many other organisations up and down across the UK. But what we have been able to do, we've been able to ensure that those, what you might call frontline services that support people have been maintained during this time. So if people want to call our helpline, they can still do so. We still have nurses manning that helpline. our website is still available and provides all sorts of information about meningitis and coronavirus as well. And we've also been able to maintain some of the financial support we give to people who've been affected by meningitis, all of which is really encouraging. But inevitably, from a financial point of view, it's hugely challenging at the moment. And, it doesn't matter whether you're a charity or a commercial entity or a firm of lawyers even, these are difficult times for any organisation.
So as you rightly say, everybody is facing challenges when it comes to fundraising especially, and also lots of activities and events where you might bring people together for support have been cancelled as a result of lockdown and the restrictions that we're all facing. If people want to support Meningitis Now, what's the best way they can do that at the moment, and what kind of things are you running to help continue with that fundraising initiative?
Yeah. So there's lots of things people can do. As you say, Julie, anything that involves sort of face-to-face activity hasn't been able to happen over spring and summer, which has been a huge disappointment, not just from a financial point of view, but just because that was the lifeblood of this charity, really, whether it's from a support point of view or whether how people can fundraise for us. But there are lots of ways in which people can still support us. If you look on our website, there are different ways to donate directly, but actually there's also lots of ways people can do fun and engaging stuff. So these are often called virtual events, so you can't run the marathon for us, at least at the moment. But what you can do is maybe, you can run it in your back garden, or you can do some sort of similar related activity and have fun with your family, do something that's good for your physical health and your mental health, and also help raise funds for us. So if people look on our website, meningitisnow.org, we're shortly going to be putting up a guide to virtual fundraising, and that will direct people to things like Jog on Meningitis, which is one of our long-standing sort of virtual events that people can do for us. Anything with a little bit of creativity and imagination will help. But critically, vital funds are what we need to make sure that we can carry on saving lives and rebuilding futures.
That's great. Thanks for all that information. So we wish you all the best, and we'll look forward to catching up soon to see how you're getting on.
Thank you. It's been nice to talk to you this morning. Thank you.